is the Fifth Estate winning headlines, your media police post. Brought to you by the Fort Hall School of Government, coming to you from Nairobi, Kenya. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 27th of April, 2020, and I am 2J.
I'm Tom.
And I am DM. Let's take a look at today's headlines. On the Daily Nation, revealed structure of unity government. The Standard, Uhuru's new power men. And the Star, Kinoti takes on Haji in new supremacy war.
Yes.
What's this war about, Tuan?
I'm telling you, the bromance in the Brotherhood of Law is done. It's over. Kinoti takes on Haji in his supremacy war. So there is a man called John Kariuki, and he is Director of Investigations Bureau at the DCI.
Yeah.
And he says that they will not send any progress reports to the DPP, and that any persons and investigation files shall also not be forwarded to the DPP.
Wow.
And they will only give completed investigation files. Now, it's telling, in other words, telling DPP you're on your own.
We're not cooperating.
We're not cooperating with you. But I think, look, I think DCI Kinoti is catching feelings for no good reason. You see, there was a TOR that DCI Kinoti and Haji had. And that TOR was to plaster someone with some charges. And those charges include Kimware Aror, fake assassination letter, and many other things.
Wow.
And now because now the time is done for that, we've been told now you can do the things that you like, and we'll call you when we need you.
So what you're telling us is...
Yeah.
The DCI and DPP, their TOR was to put together grounds for an impeachment.
Yes.
I could agree with you to some extent. For this reason, the Constitution in Article 150, where it's talking about the removal of the Deputy President, does not say that he can be impeached if he has been charged or if he has been convicted or if there's legal proceedings have been instituted against him. It actually says if there is serious reason to believe.
Yes.
So... What you're saying is that the DPP and DCI, their role or their TOR was to consolidate the serious reasons to believe
Absolutely.
that he has committed a crime.
Yes. I mean, have you ever seen such good working relationship between DCI and DPP ever in the history of this country? Absolutely
so
not.
At that point, they had a common object of aggression, they had a common goal.
Yeah.
And now they're working at cross purposes.
Yes, now the impeachment is about to happen, and their work is done. Now you go do what you like to do, investigate, do forensic analysis,
That's
take
a crazy
testing.
hypothesis.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have a 3-part criteria that we use to analyze the headlines for you. We ask, is the headline topical or speculative? Is it repetitive or groundbreaking? And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy?
Thoughtful. Or just...
Based on the conversation it has sparked, thoughtful.
The Star, the Standard rather, Uhuru's new power men. So essentially in this article, they're just dating us back to 7 years ago, 23rd of April, 2013, I believe. And this is back in the time, again, when another bromance existed, and that was between the president and the deputy president. On April 23rd, 2013, the two leaders announced their first cabinet. And so that was, the hallmark of their camaraderie, which I believe we do not see existing anymore. And they say that now power has been consolidated between Matiang'i and Mutahi Kagwe. I think that we can link this back to the Haji and Kinoti story. As much as Kagwe and Matiang'i may be the angels or the stars in this moment, again, we talk about the fall of the favorite. I think their purpose will serve until Corona ends or until, until they are needed, and then thereafter.
Absolutely.
End of story.
So also TOR for them.
Yes, exactly.
The Daily Nation is... Guys, we have a full political headline day for the first time in how long?
In almost 30-something days. No corona-related headlines.
Corona-related, yes.
So the Daily Nation is telling us that there's a revelation, and the revelation is the structure of a unity government.
Yes.
So they're telling us that the President, Kenyatta, Raila Odinga, and Gideon Moi are working on a lineup to field a single presidential candidate. But that the three parties, ODM, KANU and Jubilee, are yet to agree who will be president, deputy president, and get this prime minister. So he says that they're saying that there's a plan to form a government of national unity after the coronavirus. And they are also saying that an ODM insider told the nation
yes.
that the men also want to restructure the IEBC.
Yeah.
Or rather, ODM wants to restructure, or ODM wants to push
yes.
for an inter-party parliamentary group,
yes.
like in 1997, where the parties had a free hand to select the commissioners of the electoral management body. Isn't that regression?
Completely.
It is. It is. You see, but then in this entire matrix, people, if, let's say, in Aristotle, the relationship between Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto has deteriorated, but then there's a blossoming relationship between Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga. Now, should Raila Odinga not get his way, because that's what I am seeing at some point, what's happening to William Ruto could happen to him, what are the chances that Ruto and Raila will come together to fix the guys who has been fixing it?
I think at this point, loyalties clearly don't mean anything. So what you're proposing or what you're suggesting would quite possibly happen.
Absolutely.
But before you even get there, guys, what are the probabilities of having an expanded executive? We are barely 2 years away from an election. The IEBC does not have money.
Yes.
We are in the middle of a global pandemic where you cannot even congregate, let alone hold a referendum. So is it possible that actually by the time we get to 2022, what the nation is telling us, there will be a structure of a unity government that will be put together?
Let me tell you, the speed they will do it, because if they don't, William Ruto will fix the entire lot of them. It's either them or Ruto.
Okay, of the headlines, I think I would actually go with the Star. I really would. She takes on Haji in New Supremacy War. I think it's a fantastic headline. The Daily Nation, I don't know if these are new revelations of the new structure of the unity government.
And the power men, they're not telling us anything
new. Exactly.
And everybody wants to see a fight.
So the Star gives us our winning headline. And onto the political pieces that is for cartoons in this country. Just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to analyze them. For you, we ask, is the cartoon humorous or dry? Is it satirical or pessimistic? And finally, is the cartoon effective or just plain lazy?
Gado's gone back to his standard 4 textbooks. Iga of the Nation. And there is a drawing of a cop, and he is speaking on phone, and he's in a police station, and he's saying, "Hello, I have an empty quarantine center, bring the clients." And that's because, I mean, what is this, honestly? Because his cells are empty, now there are no people to...
But I think it's also linking back to how the government said that if you're caught outside of the curfew or throwing parties or whatnot, you'll be thrown into a mandated 14-day quarantine.
Yes.
So I think it's just linking to the fact that the police cells have become a quarantine center as well.
But I think what Iga is just telling us is that the police are just extortionists. They're using this pandemic and the quarantine and the lockdown to extract money from people.
Never waste a crisis, I suppose. I don't know.
Tell that to our police.
Gado.
It is doing it's Conspiracy Inc., and he's been having many of these. And it's the window of 6 people giving their tales about corona. The first is saying this is lab invented virus by pharmaceuticals to make profits. Second guy is saying coronavirus was created and spread in China by the US soldiers. The third lady, I think that is logical, she's saying this is a weapon of mass destruction and part of World War 4 actually. And the virus, on the fourth one, says the virus was created by China to finish Africans so that the Chinese can populate the African continent. I think that's rubbish. The fifth one is the coronavirus is all about 5G. And the sixth one is the virus was manufactured to kill the oil industry in the Middle East.
I would have liked to know what Gado's opinion is from the mouse. Maybe the mouse say something as well down there.
I think this is an ongoing kind of theme that he has going on with, debunking WhatsApp, fake news, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm tired of it.
I'm tired of it. I mean, Gado is...
However, in all honesty, I think just as we go to look at the Star, I think we're realizing now that the cartoonists are having a very difficult time churning out creative and new content. And I do not blame them for that at all.
Absolutely.
But still do better.
Absolutely.
This is a time where we need entertaining cartoons, satirical and humorous. The Star,
you have caricature of Uhuru Kenyatta as a doctor, and behind him, Dr. Mutahi Kagwe, Daktari. And they are tending to a patient there. And the caption there is, "You are under observation for 21 more days." But Uhuru Kenyatta is holding this thing called tax bill, which is a tax relief. I think he signed it on Friday evening, the tax measures that are going to come into play. And on the hospital bed is Kenya.
This is so familiar, this cartoon. I think Ozone did the exact same one. The only difference was that Uhuru Kenyatta was holding a large syringe.
Yeah. And I believe on Twitter the Star has admitted to this themselves.
Yeah.
So I think based off repetition, toss it.
Because I think we don't give anybody winning cartoon.
No, Iga's hit the nail on the head.
You guys, I think Iga has won the Monday cartoon. This is the third week straight. Should be awarded to him.
I would vote for him today.
You guys are going to give it to this guy. Okay, sure. Can get it.
So the Daily Nation gives us our winning cartoon. So what is our final thought?
And now our final thought. It is inspired by a book entitled Thinking in Bets. Making Smarter Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts, by a lady called Annie Duke.
Yeah, I think this is such an important book, especially as the subtitle says, Making Smarter Decisions When You Don't Have All the Facts.
Yes.
So it is written by a lady named Annie Duke, who was a professional poker player. Yeah. And she was actually the only woman to have ever won the World Series of Poker, I think in 2004. And now she is shifted and she is now a motivational speaker and a consultant on decision making and strategy. So the base premise of this book is that decisions are not like chess.
Yes.
They are actually more like poker.
Yes.
And so she says that in chess, it's all about strategy. Yeah. There's not much luck. Everything is there in the open. Nothing randomly appears or disappears. And in game theory, we would call this a sequential game. You know, the options are laid out and they're very specific.
Yeah.
But then in poker, she says, on the other hand, you don't have all the facts. You don't know what the other person has or doesn't have. You don't know what the next cards may be. And what you have are probabilities and possibilities. So as a professional poker, Duke for many years was in fact a professional decision maker.
Yeah.
Poker is the ideal context for exploring decision making because players constantly make decisions with little information and you get immediate feedback, either through the loss of money or the making of money. So 3 things that I think you can take from this book. 1 is acknowledging uncertainty, that is just a fact of life. 2 is redefining what wrong means. And 3 is updating your beliefs constantly. So she begins in this book with how we have this tendency to judge decisions through how they turn out. So in the world of poker, they call this resulting. It's where you believe that your results indicate the quality of your decision. So if you succeeded, it equals a good decision. If you failed, it equals a bad decision. And she says that this is completely wrong. Because this analysis ignores the role of luck in life. When the most likely event does not take place, it doesn't mean that you made a poor choice or you made a wrong decision. It could have just purely been bad luck. But the problem is that our brains don't understand this. We were built to be rational, or rather we weren't built to be rational. Let me correct that. Our brains evolved to create certainty and order, so we're very uncomfortable with the idea that luck could play a significant role in our lives. And so she explains that we're quick to form beliefs and tend toward absolute thoughts, that it's either right or it's wrong, black or white, never gray. And we indulge in something she calls motivated reasoning, where we seek out confirmation while ignoring contradictory evidence. All the evidence in the world could prove that you're wrong, but because you hold on to your bias so strong, you never change your mind. And she says that the solution to all of this is to embrace uncertainty by thinking in bets and calibrating our confidence on a more granular level. So 2M should never say 100% take it to the bank, this is going to happen. He should rather adjust his thoughts and say, I have 65% certainty that
I could be wrong.
That you could be wrong, or that X is going to happen. So if you could take one thing from this book, it's that good decisions are based on implementing and creating processes. The process is very important. A good process requires a good strategy. Once you have a good strategy, you're more likely to implement those processes, systems, and operations that help you get the results that you need time and time again.
Fantastic. Now, have both of you watched a movie called The Matrix?
Yes,
long time ago.
Now, my takeaway was actually based on this movie, and she has this thing. She says the red pill or the blue pill, and this, in my view, is decision making by making hard decisions. Now, in this movie, The Matrix, when Neo meets this guy called Morpheus, he asks, "What is this thing you call the Matrix?" And Morpheus does his palm like this, and he has 2 options: the blue pill and the red pill. And he makes Neo make the decision. Which one are you going? Which pill are you going to take? And Neo picks the red pill. No, first he says what both pills mean. Represent. First, the blue pill is whatever you want to believe, you can have it. And for the red pill, he says you stay. What it does is you stay in Wonderland, but I will show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
So one is you can choose to find out the truth.
You can choose to find out the truth,
or one you can choose.
So one is idealistic and one is realistic.
Precisely. You have helped me there. Now, this new guy, he takes the red pill and he measures it and he goes into reality. And he finds himself in a ship called Nebuchadnezzar, and it's in the eating rubbish, they are dressed in tatters and all that. But at the end, whatever they were fighting the machines. It was the age of the machines. So they were fighting, the end game was to fight machines. What's the point here, in case you get lost? The blue pill, and I want to ground it on Corona. In governments like in Spain and in Italy, where they said let life continue when Corona took place, they are suffering now because they could have taken the measures. In countries like Kenya and Uganda, they took the hard decision to do a lockdown and curfews. That meant we will not progress economically, that meant economic slowdown. But in the long run, we will be able to beat this disease and move forward with our lives. Now, if you take your blue pill, you are living in utopia. If you take your red pill, yes, you're going to make hard decisions, but those hard decisions will be a trade-off.
It will come at a cost.
It will come at a cost, but they'll make you live.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. She says, to improve decision making, we should be part of a group. Groups help in decision making, but not just any other group. It has to be the right group. And one reason a group is important is because as individuals, when we're making decisions, we usually have blind spots. And groups help us to recognize what the errors we are making, what the errors we're making are that we may be blind to. And she says that there's a crucial ingredient for a group that a group should have. That is dissent and diversity. The group should be able to disagree with you. And it should also be diverse in its composition, meaning people with different backgrounds, people with different perspectives. Otherwise, what you're doing is just engaging in an echo chamber of your own thoughts. So it helps us to look closely at our beliefs. Groups help us to look closely at our beliefs and biases. For instance, the CIA usually has these groups called red teams. And their roles are finding the faults and the flaws in analysis and logic and predictions. These are the groups that are put together to challenge what is conventional wisdom in intelligence communities. But to work together productively, a group has to engage in what she calls kudos. This is a framework that was the brainchild of a sociologist called Merton Sklonick. And there are guidelines that he created to shape the decision making in the scientific community, but it can be applied anywhere. So the C here is for communism, but not for the communism of an economic system. If a group is going to examine decisions together, it's important that they share all information. No information should be withheld because it will make you look bad or for whatever other reason. So there should be a sort of information communism. Second thing is universalism. Using the same standards to evaluate all information that is presented before you, regardless of where that information is coming from. So you don't reject, like in her example, she used to reject information that comes from people she sees as bad poker players. But then even bad poker players sometimes have good perspectives in certain situations. So you use that information and analyze it the same way you would any other information. D, disinterestedness. And this is about avoiding biases. So we view a situation differently if we already know what the outcome will be, or if we think we know what the outcome will be. So we don't always know what the outcome will be. So what we need to do is to disassociate ourselves temporarily for what we think, from what we think the outcome is going to be, and then stick to the process in terms of solving the problem or making a decision. And then the OS at the end of kudos is organized skepticism. So she says, this is non-confrontational examination of what we know and what we do not know, which keeps everyone focused on improving their own reasoning. And this is why it is really important to have dissent in the group and diversity in the group. So she says that Catholic priests used to use this process or this thinking when they were doing canonization. So they would hire somebody, an outside party, to tell them what they think is wrong with the saint before they become canonized. And this is where the term devil's advocate comes from, by the way.
Fantastic.
So on a day when we had a winning headline from the Star, and a winning cartoon from Iga of the Daily Nation. Thank you for joining us. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are also on your TV screens on GoTV, Star Times, and Pang Free to Air. Have a good evening and see you tomorrow.